Okay, so we're sitting in a parking lot and you might be thinking, that's not that special. Why are you filming this? Well, let me tell you, because this isn't just any parking lot. We are in Burbank, California, at the spot where Doc Brown's garage would be, where Marty would have come into the garage. It would have been right about here, and then here's where he skateboarded out in 1985 onto the street after blowing up some speakers. Now this spot here is where they would have put the facade, the outside of the set. So it's just the actual garage itself, just the outside of the front of it, and then you know, they'd film it in a soundstage. But basically it was put right here. If we just walk a little bit this way, you will see sort of where he went out. And the Burger King is still here, just with a new logo. And he skateboarded out this way onto what is actually Victory Boulevard in Burbank. So this is the spot again. And so there you go, that's one spot where Doc Brown's garage was for Back to the Future. In the 1985 version of town, where he sold his land and this all became a parking lot. So that's one Doc Brown spot. We're gonna check out another. We are in Pasadena, California, and right behind me here is the historic Gamble House, which, if you recognize this brick driveway and the house itself and the bookstore over here, is actually Doc Brown's house from Back to the Future, the 1955 version of the house. It's a historic home in Pasadena, arts and crafts home. I'm gonna go on the tour in a little bit. I'm not sure if they allow cameras in there, we'll see. But there's a plaque up here that describes the house a little more. It's actually, I believe, from somebody from the Procter and Gamble family. So it is a real historic home. And the bookstore that we saw would have been Doc Brown's garage over there. And as we saw on Victory Boulevard in Burbank, that's where in 1985 just the garage remained and the street became a busy street with Burger King, etc. So I'm gonna go take a look at the plaque and we'll see what it says. Okay, so it does say it was built in 1908 by David B. Gamble. It is an example of the craftsman style, like I mentioned, and became a permanent landmark in 1974. So here's a closer look at the bookstore, which would have been just the garage for Doc Brown, and where Marty would have gone up to and stayed in the first movie, as that became basically Doc Brown's house. And then here's a closer look at the home itself. So pretty familiar sight. Featured in, I believe, all three movies. I know they stayed here at the beginning of Back to the Future 3 in 1955 to go back to 1885. But a very nice home, and of course, I will say the craftsman style reminds me very much of the Grand Californian, which this is a California landmark, so it makes sense that it was done in this style that we see here. Now in this area here is where the 1640 address would have been, which is not the actual address, so it's not here. But that's, as you recall from the movie, when Marty first gets to 1955, right there would be the driveway and the spot where he would have seen that. Okay, so I'm about to head on the tour. Like I said, I don't know if they allow you to film, so we shall see. So unfortunately, they do not allow people to film or take pictures in the house. So we'll have to just say goodbye. It was a very cool house. I recommend anybody come check it out if you're into architecture or again, just like history of places or just want to see a nice house. So with that, we'll say goodbye to the Gamble House. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.